It has been far too long since we've talked or heard anything worthwhile about Battlefield 2042, and I have a lot of things to say about how things have been handled up to this point, but I will reserve my rant for later. For now, we have a ton of new information for Battlefield 2042, including the dates of the beta, details on specialists, customizations and cosmetics, player cards, and, well, quite a bit more. I'm going to do my best to cover everything as quickly as I can, but first, our sponsor today is Honeygain. With all those different accounts you have for Amazon Prime, Netflix, Spotify, or something else that you might be keeping on the DL, Honeygain can actually help you cover some of the costs for almost no effort on your part. Let me explain as fast as I can. Honeygain is an app that runs on your computer, tablet, or phone, and after loading the app up, it runs in the background and shares your internet connection, but doesn't have access to your personal data. Okay, wait, hold on. Shares my internet connection? What's that mean? Well, it's just checking stuff from different sites to discover things like plane or shoe prices from different locations. That info then gets shared with businesses like best deal sites, which help you find the best price for things you want to buy. Just make sure that you've got the app running in the background so you're making money and enjoy that extra cash each month. Again, the app doesn't ask for access to your device's data at all, and it won't affect your browsing experience. Sign up by clicking the link in the description below, and if you use the code DieHardGG, you'll get $5 added to your Honeygain account. Yeah, that's free money. All right, so I'm not the kind to bait you until the end of the video for all the details you care to know about first, which I assume is the beta, so let's talk about that first, and then we'll go through everything else we learned is coming when the game releases. First things first, you'll be able to play as one of 4 specialists, including McKay, Felk, Boris, and Casper. I won't bother you with what each of those specialists does because I've already made videos on that, but I was really hoping that we'd be able to play as any of the 10 specialists that will be coming at release, or at least have Irish included, but that sadly is not the case. We'll be doing our Battlefield stuff and classic conquests on the map Orbital, and if you're on PC or next-gen consoles, you're looking at games with up to 128 players, and if you're on the current-gen consoles, then, well, you're stuck with games that will be half as populated with up to 64 players. If you're on PlayStation, you won't need PlayStation Plus to participate in the open beta, and if you're on Xbox, you will need an Xbox Live Gold membership. As for the dates themselves, early access will be from October 6th to October 7th, and open access will be from October 8th to October 9th. The only ways to get early access are from pre-ordering Battlefield 2042 or by being an EA Play member. So for the vast majority of players just looking to test things out, they'll be playing on October 8th and October 9th. And you might be thinking, wow, only 2 to 4 days for the beta. And yeah, it's really not that much, especially when you compare it to Call of Duty Vanguard having like 8 days of beta, or Halo Infinite having multiple tech test demos and flight betas on several weekends. It's just a bit concerning that there just won't be enough time to take the bugs and the learnings from the beta and then integrate those into the game at launch in November. And before you ask, no, unfortunately none of your progress is going to carry over from the beta to the actual game. Battlefield Portal is also not going to be part of the beta, but it will be available at launch, and as for Hazard Zone, I mean, man, we still don't know almost anything about it, and at this point, I wouldn't expect it to be launching with the game either. I'll touch on the PC requirements here just for a second, because they're quite a doozy, honestly. Feel free to pause the video if you care to, and just know this game is going to require a fairly decent PC to run. All right, let's get into some of this gameplay stuff. So the gunplay and vehicle play we saw in this new trailer for the beta still looked pretty scripted. There's even a part, and I'm not kidding, if you slow it down to 25%, you can see the character perspective changes from one scripted event to another scripted event. I don't know if this was an editing mistake they were hoping people wouldn't catch, or if it was left in on purpose to show us that Levolution events like this will be repeatable, but it's an interesting point nonetheless. The weapons themselves look fine and all, but we only got like 3 seconds of an actual gunfight. Here, I'll just play them all back to back. Yeah, it's kind of hard to make judgments from that. One other thing we didn't see in the trailer was anyone using the plus system to swap out attachments on their gun on the fly, like we saw in, prior gameplay trailers, so I guess we'll just have to test that out for ourselves once we're in the game. And from the short amount of gameplay we did see in this new trailer, the general HUD seems to have been updated a little bit, and the player cards seem to also have had another update. I still don't really care for that kill indicator skull thing to be right in the center of the screen. I wish that was not there at all, or that it was like offset up to the top, but my personal opinion on the HUD and UI in general is that it actually looks pretty minimal, and it looks pretty clean to me. I know some people hate it, but I kind of like it. I'm sure there will also be plenty of color, size, placement, and opacity options for how you want your HUD and crosshair to look, just like the customization options in the other Battlefield games. As for vehicles, the interface looks very similar to what we had in Battlefield 4, and I think that's obvious from the tank, helicopter, and jet gameplay. The vehicle gameplay looks pretty solid, but it's hard to judge that until, we're actually in there playing the game. Okay, I did also want to talk about the destruction, weather, and Levolution that we saw. So there was a tank that, after exploding, had its turret go flying. There was some micro destruction of satellite panels from the helicopter rockets. A fuel tank exploded. The tornado tossed around some vehicles. Lightning actually struck some surfaces, and the rocket exploded mid-launch, which is probably more of a Levolution event that changes that section of the map, similar to what we've seen in prior Battlefield games. Honestly, things are looking like they're pretty much on par with recent Battlefield games, but there's just not that moon landscape level destruction like we used to see in the Battlefield Bad Company days, and I kind of miss that. Battlefield 2042 also gave us a big release of information on other things coming with the full release of the game in November related to progression, experience, and weapon unlocks. So first, we've got ribbons. If you're unfamiliar with ribbons, they're basically awards based on objectives, kills, healing, just playing the game. But this time, ribbons have up to 3 different tiers, which each will grant a greater XP reward. The more progress you make on a specific ribbon, the more XP you'll earn at the end of the round. Here are 5 of the example ribbons that they gave us. The first is the objective ribbon, which is just you get it from playing the objective. Wingman ribbon, which is from supporting teammates with revives and various assists. Logistics ribbon, heal and resupply others and repair vehicles. Intel ribbon, spot and disrupt enemies, such as via EMPs or destroying drones. Combat ribbon, score kills and destroy vehicles. As you're snagging these ribbons and start earning experience, you'll unlock specialists, weapons, vehicles, and gadgets, and even cosmetics. But after reaching level 99, the ranking system is going to change over to something called S levels, starting at S001 and ending at S999. I think the distinction is probably here because by level 99, you will have actually unlocked everything available and there aren't going to be any rewards actually tied to those S levels. I'm not sure why, but that's what we get. When you first start up the game at level 1, you'll have access to some of the specialists, weapons, vehicles, and gadgets, but obviously not everything. As for weapon attachments or vehicle upgrades, those are going to be locked behind mastery-based progression, again, similar to prior Battlefield games. For example, it might take like 100 kills to unlock a new scope for your M5A3 assault rifle, or for a vehicle, you'd gain new equipment as you use it to accomplish goals like spawn killing with the mobile AA. At certain mastery milestones, such as performing 40 kills with a weapon, you'll also gain cosmetics for it, such as a new skin and a new tier of mastery badge that you can then use to decorate your player card and boast about your achievements. The player card is a new thing in Battlefield 2042, and it's really similar to what we've seen in other games like Apex Legends, where you can basically just show off 3 of your favorite badges, banner art, your level, and some other stuff. Of course, this is just the beginning when it comes to cosmetics though, as there will be various appearances for your specialists and loadout, which will be earned through gameplay or, microtransactions. But for the specialist, weapon, and vehicle skins, they'll come in 4 different rarities. Common is going to be gray, rare is blue, epic is purple, and legendary is gold. The rare and epic specialist skins also have a headgear component and a body component. So yeah, you'll be able to mix up headgears with different bodies if you want to. However, legendary skins are a single outfit and can't actually be mixed with any other skin. And they also didn't say at all if you'll be able to change the colors of any of this stuff, but it kind of seems like you won't be able to. The whole legendary skin thing and the colors changing is kind of a bummer, but, Weapon skins will apply to not only your weapon, but also any attachments you have on it as well. So you won't have to worry about getting the same skin for each individual attachment of your weapon. They're also adding weapon charms, if you care about that at all. I just hope there's a bipod charm you can add to your knife. Shout out to you level 100 colonels out there. Vehicles will have the same skin rarities, but also decals, and of course, Battlefield 2042 will still have unlockable melee weapons earned through progression, all of which have their own unique takedown animation. We'll get to some concerns about Battlefield 2042 in a second here, but I did want to mention cross-progression and cross-play. Progression across all platforms will be shared and travel with you wherever you go, as long as you play on the same EA account. This means your unlocked progress and completed purchases in your PlayStation copy of the game will carry over onto the Xbox or PC version and vice versa. So, for example, if you just unlocked a new weapon called the handgun at level 69 on PlayStation, you shut that PlayStation down and jumped over to the PC or Xbox Series X or S, you'd be able to use that handgun proudly at level 69, along with, any other masteries you may have. Some things won't transfer though, like special edition cosmetics, the digital art book and soundtrack, unspent, premium currency, and any other pre-order items. So some concerns that I've had over the past couple months that I haven't really talked about. For a long time, Battlefield 2042 was believed to be ahead of schedule, and the devs were given an extra year to make sure they got this game right. Communication from Battlefield pretty much completely disappeared in September, and then they left us all in the dark about what was going on behind the scenes. People turned to the leaking community to try to get sources of information just because so little communication was coming from the official Battlefield channels. I don't know, I really hope that the lack of communication was just because they didn't want to over communicate and instead only released information once they were, 100% sure they could follow through on it. But it really started giving me Cyberpunk 2077 vibes, and I can't really shake that feeling now. I've also read some opinions from those that played or watched the technical alpha gameplay, and some were saying that the maps were too big and engagements took a long time to get to unless you had a vehicle. Now, yeah, that's a concern, I guess, but this is Battlefield we're talking about here, and that's always kind of been a thing if you're not going to capture objectives or control points on the map. I also heard that the game was super choppy on even medium settings using like the highest end PCs out there. I guess we'll just have to wait and see if they've smoothed things out once we actually play the beta. Speaking of the beta, it's really only like a 2-day open beta, and with it only taking place about a month before the game releases, I can't imagine DICE will be able to take much of the feedback from the testers and integrate that into the game at release in November. I would have much rather there be several beta time periods, at least like 2 months before the game release, kind of like how Halo Infinite is doing right now, but I mean, it's just not possible. There's also been almost nothing further on Battlefield Portal or Hazard Zone, which is also pretty concerning because those have been marketed as some big features and selling points of Battlefield 2042. Remember, this game isn't going to be a free-to-play title, so if it doesn't ship with Hazard Zone or a very functional Battlefield Portal because it was rushed, I think it's going to rightfully piss off a lot of people. Now, it is a Battlefield release though, so if you aren't already mentally strapped in for the bumpy ride on release day, you better start soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I want to apologize for not pumping out more Battlefield 2042 content recently. There just hasn't really been anything to make a meaningful video about, but I felt now is a pretty good time to get things moving again. Here's your reminder to hit that like button if you're excited for Battlefield 2042. Subscribe if you want more content like this from time to time, and I hope to see you again, as always, in the next one.